I'm in chains, you're in chains.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Destiny. My name is Omo-George. Yes, if you can hear me very clearly, I'm broadcasting from home because we already know the kind of time we live in, and it's important that we all stay safe at this time. I'd like to know how you are doing. I know I can hear you. I know I can't get any response from you, but I hope that you are safe wherever you are. It's very important that we keep ourselves safe at this very particular time of our dear country, Nigeria. So do something for me. Tell someone to tell someone else, because this show is for every family, and today's episode has a lot to do with what's going on in our country today, and we're going to talk about so many things affecting us, and how all of this is tied to domestic violence and all. So you just stay there, hang on with me. I'll be back in a very few seconds, and we'll continue the show. I'll introduce my guest, and of course, let you know the topic we're going to be discussing today. Stay with us. I'll be right. Okay, welcome back to the show. You're still listening to Destiny on Rainbow 94.1 FM with me, Oge. And today we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be asking a question. So this is something that has to do with the status quo, the place where we find ourselves today. And I'm going to be asking, where do we draw the line between respect and idolatry? And today to discuss this topic, I have with me Paul Obeto, who is also joining us via the phone line, because of course we all need to stay safe. Paul Obeto, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon. It's nice to be with you today.
All right, so good to have you again today.
Thank you.
So let's begin with I want to understand. We talk about respect. We talk about we need to respect older people and all of that. But we find that, it's almost impossible. For example, you say, we have a status quo that says, oh, you need to agree. You just have to agree with an older person. Or when you disagree with someone who is in a position of authority, it becomes something like a defiance, So I need to understand, how did we get to this point where respect has so much been confused with idolatry? How did we get to this point?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am privileged to be on air today with you all. Now, back to the topic, looking at respect and idolatry and how we got to the extent where anytime one challenges the status quo, it is seen as an act of defiance or an act of disrespect to our elder. Now, first of all, this is Africa. All right? And we all know that in Africa, we have suffered several years of slavery.
Okay.
So the various attributes of slavery, whether for slave master or for being a slave, because in slavery you have the slave master, you also have the slave. You understand? Now, these various characteristics of both the slave and the slave master became enshrined in our tradition. All right?
Okay.
These attributes became enshrined in our tradition. It became like a mainstream practice, such that if you are not in position, when I mean position, you're not in position of authority, you're obviously seen like a slave. All right? And then you have the kings, you have the elders, you have all those people in the society. These were the masters. And then every other person, even normally in our tradition, you have the king and you have subjects. The word subject and the word subjugate, they came almost from the same lineage. Do you understand? To put someone under. So the king sees his citizens, so to say, as subjects. There's a big difference between citizen and subject. So you are subject to someone's authority, meaning you are totally under, more like the military line of chain of command. In the military, when the person in the hierarchy gives an order, those in the rank and file, they don't ask questions. You just obey. There's this idea of obey before complain. Are you following me?
Yes,
So
I am.
this has become enshrined in our tradition over the years,
Okay.
such that we equally brought it home, from the king. We brought it to the village square, then we brought it home, where the husband, has the final say, has authority over everybody else, and everybody is subject to him at home, And then you now begin to bring it towards the children, are subject to whoever is older than them. So this subjecting one another became a norm, became a practice, such that anytime you try to ask questions, you are seen as disrespectful. In fact, it's that bad in our tradition that you cannot ask questions, even just questions. Okay, you want me to do this, please? Yes, you want me to do this, please? Why do you want me to do it? It is seen as disrespectful. You just obey, no complaint. So it all began with years of slavery we have endured in Africa generally. It's not a Nigerian thing, it's just an African problem. You understand? It's all it's kind of what we call the leftover of the era of slavery.
Okay, let me come in here. It's interesting you mentioned culture, and I need you to buttress on that, because if we talk about culture, we all know that culture is a way of life of the people, which means it's a way people have come to live, have come to adopt,
Yes.
So if we are going to go by that, does it not mean that if a culture no longer serves the people, if it brings more destruction than it brings more construction, are we not supposed to scrap it and change the status quo?
Yeah.
How do we hang on to that? I understand that some people, a particular group of people, benefit from that. But if we continue in this line, we already see the effect it's having. We see the outburst, we see what is going on in our society in Nigeria, for example, today. If we continue in this line, do we not think that this is going to further degenerate or make us, unprogressive as a people?
Of course, there is no other thing that is making Africa unproductive other than our culture. Frankly, see, the biggest reasons why, if you look at the most underdeveloped nations in the world, you'll be shocked to discover that 80% of all the countries, they are in one continent. One single continent of Africa. And you see, the one very defining factor of whether a nation or a people will be prosperous or successful is their culture. You understand? Culture is basically the way of life of the people. Poverty is kind of sum total of the average of practices and belief system of society. That's just it. It has nothing to do with any other thing other than the culture. Now, culture, like you said, is the way of life of the people. But in Africa, we have a problem. And that problem is the desire to perpetuate a culture because it benefits certain people. Not because it benefits everybody, but certain people. And those people hold everybody else to ransom. Because challenging that culture will also mean dethroning them, like removing them from their power. You understand? So that is the real problem. Normally, if a culture no longer serves its purpose, you get rid of it.
Okay. I've been following the media in the last 2 weeks. It's like the last 2 weeks plus has been like a year, like a decade for me, because things, you wake up every morning and you hear another breaking news. You wake up the next day, you hear another news, and they are not palatable. We find young people have decided to wake up in cool and they're asking questions. People are deciding to say, hey, this is my right and you need to give it to me. So it's almost like they are demanding for it right now. And the people in power think this is unacceptable, you shouldn't be doing it, even though they come out and say something else, but the body language says something different,
Yeah,
and
of course.
It sort of worries me because now let's take this back to our families. The family we know is like the smallest community we have in every society, the smallest community. So now we find that these people in authority are also products of their own society, products of their own families, which means that this practice has been on for decades. Now we continue to transcend this practice beyond generations. And we find out that we are not moving any further. We're not moving, we're not progressing. So if you're going to continue to deny a young person their rights or shut them down when they speak up? How do they get to really understand that they have a right? Because this has actually made so many people lose self-esteem, not just self-esteem. It's almost like they are begging. They have to beg for this crap from the table. And when you give them that crap, they're so happy. I mean, you're even giving them something.
Yeah.
Even though they deserve or they rightfully own the main dish. So it's almost like everyone is so comfortable with this. So now people are asking questions and it becomes a thought. How do we now get to bridge people who will know that they have a right? That being a human being means you have a right.
Of course.
Yeah, how do we get to raise those kind of people in this society we find ourselves, given the status quo?
Well, first of all, I would say again, it's unfortunate that this is what we seem to be practicing in our country, where the younger people don't seem to have any right. Anything the elders shove down their throats, they have to take it, they have to accept it. They cannot question authority. They cannot ask for any other thing more than what they are given. You understand? And like I said before, these are all leftover from the era of slave trade, from the era of enslaving people. And we are still enslaving ourselves one way or the other. Now, talking about how do we get out of it? Of course, I want to first of all applaud the youth of this country who have finally taken the bull by the horn to try to get out of the stranglehold of the leadership of our country for generations. And it's quite commendable. Yes, I know of a truth. They were not going to get all the rights immediately. But of course, there is something already happening, and gradually we'll begin to tilt towards the way it ought to be, towards the way it is in other countries of the world. Instead of remaining in our Stone Age practices and keeping ourselves tied down to old ideologies that is no longer useful. Okay. So it is quite commendable that people are taking decisions right now. Thank God for the internet age. Thank God for social media. So people are able to see what's happening elsewhere and quickly adopt and adapt to those activities. So I'm very, very proud of the youth, the young people in Nigeria, and I hope that as going forward, that will continue to make demands, more and more demands to bridge this gap, this slave master-slave relationship gap. We'll be able to bridge it over time to the extent we can totally eliminate these practices.
So we're going to go to the phone lines. We're going to involve our listeners on this show in the next few minutes. But before we do that, I have an experience. And each time I talk about this, I always laugh about it. But at the time this happened, it sort of sets me back a bit in my own life. So I had someone who I looked up to, someone who I really, really respected many years ago. And we were talking about something. I told the person point blank that he lied, that was not true. And he found that very, very offensive. So it was almost like I insulted his ancestors. And he said it to me directly that you don't tell an adult that he lied.
That they lie, yeah. It's a Nigerian thing.
That particular statement, it never left me. I kept asking, because I even asked him why, but he couldn't explain. He just said, it's an African thing. Which brings me back to this culture thing. I mean, being an African, we are first human, right? So it means that humanity, if we're going to practice humanity, humans build each other up and not tear each other down. So this culture of adults, like, which in itself creates a culture of silence and tyranny.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we even move on from here if we're going to continue? Because I know someone is listening to me now, and I know a lot of people practice this. And in the family, a young person speaks up or talks about something different or goes differently, and he or she is considered a rebel because you shouldn't be questioning authority. You shouldn't point out to someone. It creates a lot of questions for me. How do we? I know I've asked you this before, but I worry that the generations coming are going to keep inheriting this, and we think it's normal. I know a lot of people do not think this is not okay. We so hold on to it like an etched in stone belief that this is so normal. So, go ahead.
Okay, now, like you said, in Africa, our girls are very good at it. There's a belief that they are incapable of being wrong. They lack the capacity to do anything wrong. They also lack the capacity to lie. Such that even when they do, everybody's supposed to turn a blind eye.
Oh, wow.
You understand? And when you begin to query these activities, you are seen as a rebel. You are seen as a dissident. You are seen as someone who's trying to cause confusion in the society. It's quite unfortunate. However, there is no other way out of it than facing our fears. That's not the truth. There's no other way to say it than saying it. If somebody is wrong, let the elders know they are wrong. Right? The reason happening in our society today, some people came out to ask for their rights. They believe they've been oppressed for years. I'm like, no, we can't continue like this. This brutality must stop. We all see the way it's going now. Mm-hmm. Instead of the brutality stopping, just the youth seem to be getting more brutality. So, however, it will not stop us from speaking. It will not stop us from speaking. We will continue to speak, and definitely one day they will listen and turn things around. That is the only way out. That's the only option we have left.
So there's this thing about in the family, for example, it says that if a child is afraid of their parents, it's considered respectful. You know, if you as a young person or as a child, if you're not afraid of your parents, then that means you're not respectful, you're being disrespectful. So we have still come to invite that in our culture that we find that younger people, older people rather, consider fear for respect.
Yes, you have to be terrified. I think I'll use a bigger word like being terrified. You have to be afraid. You have to be timid.
Yes, exactly. Timid is the word. So, even before someone who is older than you, just have to shave it. You don't have to look your whole self, be your whole self.
You're absolutely correct.
I'm going to ask again, like, how are we going to get to the point where we understand? I know a lot of parents are listening, and I know a lot of kids are also listening. How do we get to the point that we understand that fear is not respect? Yeah.
Well, a lot of people do. Education is one big thing. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we live in a society where I guess where the women are not very educated. You understand? Not that they don't want to be educated, but the society doesn't want to educate them.
Oh, okay.
You understand? The society doesn't want to educate the girl child. That's just what I mean. And you discover that these women, these are the first teachers, the first nurses, the first doctors the children will ever know. So the level of education we give to our girls who eventually become our mothers, who eventually become the people who raise up these children, matters a lot. If the girl child is not well educated, by the time they start raising children, they are going to raise children with the standard of education they have. And if they are married to a man who is not educated enough to understand that there should be equal rights, there should be rights for everybody, and not one person oppressing the other, then that level of life will continue. So the number one escape is education. And I specifically want to mention the girl child education. Because our society, we also believe that the woman is not supposed to be heard for things, which means the woman is not supposed to ask questions, say anything, just present yourself, talk when you are supposed to, when nobody asks a question, you have nothing to say, and all that. And then our mothers transmit this to their children when they are growing up.
Okay.
So that is for me, that's the real problem. Educating the girl child seriously is one very way to liberate the society from these decaying practices.
Okay, so I hear you mentioning the mother being educated as one of the solutions. But I'm going to ask, I mean, it takes two people to have a child, it takes people to raise a child. It's only times we also have the men who are part of these children's lives. So do you think that the man also needs to do something on his own part? Because even if the woman is educated and the man practices believes in this kind of practice, do you not think it will also compromise whatever it is the man brings to the table? Because
you are totally
also the man being the head and all of that and whatever he
yes, you are totally correct. Why I try to stress female education, it is because we have a society that I said before that downplay on female education. We try to neglect it. We try to believe it is not important to send women to school, to send girls to school. You understand? Now, we must balance the equation. Of course, we educate the men. When the women are not educated, we have not done the job. That is basically what I'm saying. And of course, while educating the men, we should begin in our civic education. There's a subject like that in secondary school, I think, called civic education. Some of these things should be inculcated in the next generation. They should be made to understand as part of their curriculum that there should be respect for everybody, young, old, big, small. Everybody is human and must have equal rights.
Let me give out this phone line. Hold your thoughts, please. So if you want to join us in this conversation, please call us on 080-9941-9418. 080-9941-9418. So I can hear you. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, so we must give education, and more education. All right? If the men naturally, based on the way the societal practices we have been told that you are like a demigod, only education will make the next generation understand that there are no demigods. The man is no god. There's no demigod over anybody.
Okay. Do we have a call? Okay. You can call us again on 080-9941-9418. 080-9941-9418. Okay.
Yes.
I see we're already. Okay, go ahead.
The man is no demigod over anybody. Therefore, what I'm basically after is the civic, our education system should be filtered in such a way to teach everyone to learn to respect everybody. The adults must learn to respect the youth. Okay. And the youth will also learn to respect the adults. This thing is a two-way thing, not one.
Okay, it's like we have a call. Hello?
Right.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon. So your name, please.
No, actually, it's good to talk about things.
I know where you're calling from.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Hello. Yes,
I said actually, it's good to talk about being free. And my name is Peter from Oga. What I really want us to know is this: the respect for the elders cannot be eradicated. We have to. Even you said that when you were small, they always say that there was someone you took that lied, that you now tell the person that you're lying. You now say that they used to lie and tell the other one that they lie. Even as you are now, if a younger one just approach you and said, "Hey, mommy, you are lying," there's a feeling inside you that you try to caution her. I know you don't talk like that. There's a way of presenting it. Yes, and or maybe you have your daughter see it outside and you're there. Tell maybe grandma now that grandma, you are lying. There's a way you try to caution her that you don't talk like that. That feeling is there. The respect must still be there. Yes, and we know that we have freedom to talk. We have a bit. People misuse this opportunity. They are misusing the freedom. When you go to America.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Paul, we have to go because our time is up here. I need to get your final notes on this because we really need to let this thing. I like that you said it's vice versa. Instead, older people respecting the young, which is very important. Younger people respecting the older people. In a few seconds, 30 seconds.
So that's the way it should be. We are all human under God, and nobody is more human than the other. So we must learn to respect That's just what I see.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show today. So please, if
Thank
you're
you very
listening to
much.
us, we at Omo-George Foundation, we have a counseling unit. We have a legal team who takes up anything that has to do with domestic violence, whether it has to do with emotional, physical violence of any kind. Please call us on 070-3751-4830. You have any child or anyone anywhere who is dealing with any kind of domestic violence and you want to reach out to us, call us on agent on 070-3751-4830. And if you want to inquire about anything in our foundation, you call us on 0810-2495-791. 0810-2495-791. I hope you all stay safe out there until I come to again next week. Hopefully, if I'll be in the studio, maybe I'll also be doing that from home. I don't know what tomorrow holds. But please stay safe. That's very, very important so we can. And I'll see you next week. Have a good